An opposition march which Mr Nemtsov planned in Moscow for Sunday has now been turned into a memorial rally. President Vladimir Putin condemned Friday's killing as vile and cynical and vowed to find the killers. But Mr Nemtsov's allies said this was a political killing linked to opposition to Mr Putin and the Ukraine conflict. They won't stop us. As night fell, flowers were piled up a metre high and 2 meters wide on the Great Moskvoretsky Bridge. Placards read, "We are all Nemtsov and Je Suis Boris," the latter a reference to the Je Suis Charlie messages of support following the Charlie Hebdo killings in Paris last month. One of those attending, Alexander Badiyev, said, "This was ordered by Putin, without a shadow of a doubt. They have shown us what the fate will be of all those who are against them." Opposition activist Mark Galperin said, "People are afraid to support our movement." Opposition activists receive threats every day and Boris was no exception. But they won't stop us. Former Yabloko party leader Grigory Yavlinsky said, "The political responsibility for this murder lies with the authorities and personally President Putin." The number of European ambassadors laid wreaths. Former UK ambassador to Russia, Sir Tony Brenton, told the BBC there was now an atmosphere of political hysteria in Russia. And that is an atmosphere which has generated a lot of really rather nasty right-wing ex-soldiers groups to come to the surface. And it is quite possible that it is a group like that was responsible for Boris's death. Russia's investigative committee said it was looking into a number of possible motives, including Mr Nemtsov's opposition to the Ukraine war, his political and personal life, Islamic extremism or an attempt to destabilize the state. The number of pro-government figures suggested Mr Nemtsov had been made a sacrificial victim to show the state in a bad light. Ramzan Kadyrov, the Putin-backed leader of Chechnya, blamed Western special services, trying by any means to create internal conflict in Russia. Presidential spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Mr Putin had noted that this cruel murder has all the makings of a contract hit and is extremely provocative. Others suggested there could have been personal enmity over his private or business life. Lawmaker Vladimir Zhirinovsky said the murder could have been connected to Nizhny Novgorod, where Mr Nemtsov had been regional governor in the 1990s. Mr Nemtsov was reportedly preparing documents on Russian military involvement in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko said, Boris had declared he would provide clear evidence of Russian armed forces' participation in the war in Ukraine. Somebody was afraid of this. They killed him. U.S. President Barack Obama condemned the killing as a brutal murder. The Russian government must conduct a prompt, impartial and transparent investigation, the U.S. President urged. He'll kill you. Mr Nemtsov, 55, had been dining at a restaurant with his girlfriend Anna Jurovskaya on Friday night. They left together to walk to his flat, crossing the bridge, where a white car drew up and Mr Nemtsov was shot 4 times with a pistol at around 23:40 GMT. Footage on Russian TV showed the white Lada Prada car in the area, but there was no confirmation it was the one involved. One shot showed someone running along the road and jumping into the waiting car, which sped off. In a telegram to Mr Nemtsov's mother, published on the Kremlin website, Mr Putin vowed to bring the killers to justice. He praised Mr Nemtsov's openness and honesty. Mr Nemtsov served as first deputy PM under President Boris Yeltsin in the 1990s but fell out of favor with Mr Putin and became an outspoken opponent. He told the weekly Soviet recently that his mother was worried about him. She is more worried about Putin than Ukraine. Every time I call her, she gives me a talking to. When will you stop being rude about Putin? He'll kill you. Moscow's authorities have agreed a march of up to 50,000 people can be held on Sunday. It will begin on Kitaygoradsky Promenade at 1500 hours local time 12 o'clock GMT and pass the site of the killing.